open the sports page with the Orlando Sentinel at FM 96.9 The Game's Mike the Bulldog Bianchi.
On JRR.
So, Bulldog, which football story is bigger, the passing of Colts owner Jim Irsay or the tush-push vote?
Well, they're both big stories. Obviously, Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, he passes away sadly yesterday at the age of 65 years old. He was the owner during the Peyton Manning years. Got very emotional when Peyton Manning, he had to end up letting Peyton Manning go. And I always liked Jim Irsay for this reason. He wasn't your typical owner. He had his demons. He had some issues with substance abuse throughout his life. But he was outspoken. He would get on social media. He would give away wads of $100 bills to fans at training camp, and he'd have trivia contests on social media, and give the winners tickets to the Super Bowl. He was a likable, quirky guy.
He also had a kick-ass guitar collection.
And he played guitar. And he loved collecting expensive guitars. So yeah. Jim Irsay will be missed. Obviously, he passes away at the age of 65. But
nobody hears it, honestly. So nobody mishears that. Pat was not comparing Irsay to the tush push by any means.
No, it was two big stories in the NFL yesterday. I said, which one is bigger?
I think they're both huge. We leave it at that, right?
Well, I'm just glad that the tush push has been settled. It will not, hallelujah, the tush push survives yesterday. Good. I came up with a saying, the cheek shall inherit the turf. That's right. The tush push overtook the sports world for the last couple of months. It's staying. I guess the debate got heated yesterday. During the discussions, the owners were going back and forth. The owner of the Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, did you see what he did? He gave like an hour-long speech.
And who was it? Who's the other owner who's like, all right, dude, you got enough said about this or what?
Okay, but listen to what he said during his speech. It lasted close to an hour, all right? As he's giving his speech, and there's all sorts of people in the room. It's not just the owners. There's, all sorts of people in the room during the general discussion. And he said whether it was banned or not, it was a win-win for the Eagles, adding that it was, quote, like a wet dream for a teenage boy to create a play that was so successful that the only way it could be stopped was for it to be banned. Yeah. He used wet dream in front of, there were women in the audience and everything. God.
Oh. And teenage boy. Come on.
Evidently, he got chastised by Troy Vincent when Troy Vincent got up on the podium.
Hey, Bulldog, how about them Pacers?
Wow. How about them Knicks choking away a 14-point lead? 14-point lead with what was there? 2:45 remaining in the game. They had a 14-point lead. The Pacers come storming back. Tyrese Halliburton hits a 2-point. Thought it was a 3-pointer right at the buzzer, but it ended up being a 2-pointer. That sends it into overtime, and the Pacers end up winning the game 138-135 in overtime. Here's a stat for you, all right?
You just, had that toe not just been touching that line, that would have been such a... you talk about hearing a pin drop in that place? My God, man.
And plus, he thought it was a three because he went celebrating down the court, giving the choke sign like Reggie Miller did to Spike Lee way back in the day. So, but here's the stat. Teams leading by at least 14 points in the final 2:45 of the fourth quarter had been 994-0.
Wow.
Since they began detailing these things. So the Knicks are the first team ever to lose a 14-point lead with 2:45 remaining in the game.
Wow.
So there you have it. Hockey last night. Dallas Stars, they win game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Looks like we could have it. Well, probably will have an all-Southern Stanley Cup playoffs. So Stars win last night 6-3. They take a 1-0 lead in that game. Did you see who visited the White House?
The Gators were in the Oval Office.
The Gator National Championship.
I don't know if it was the Oval
Gator.
Office, but I saw him there. I was halfway listening.
Oh, yeah. They were there. President Trump honored the national championship winning basketball team. You know who else was there? Timothy Richard Tebow in the White House yesterday. He was part of the Gator contingent. Trump spoke highly of Timmy, and I'm telling you, I've said this for a long time. Timothy Richard Tebow will be the president of the United States one day. He has a political future. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
I could see him being like a governor of Florida, maybe, but not the pres yet.
No, he'll be president. This guy can reach across the aisle like nobody. A compassionate conservative. Yeah, Tim Tebow will be president. By the way, President Trump, the best thing he said yesterday during the Gator celebration. So Orlando's Denzel Aberdeen, he played for the Gators this past year. He's since transferred, but he was there yesterday at the White House yesterday. So Trump said, "I love that name, Denzel Aberdeen. I have a place in Aberdeen, Scotland."
No, it looked like everybody had a good time, man. So good for them. Good for them getting the recognition and the props.
Did Timmy send you a selfie from there? I know he's your love of your life. When you said that he reaches across better than anybody, I bet he does. Right across that nightstand.
Maybe when Timothy gets in as president, he can award you an ambassadorship somewhere, Bulldog.
I'll be a speechwriter. Oh. Absolutely.
He is Mike the Bulldog Bianchi, host of Open Mic. On Adjacent to Us weekday mornings on AM 740 and FM 96.9 The Game, and he takes a time out from his show for the sports page here on JRR each morning.
By the way, happy birthday to the legendary actor Sir Laurence Olivier today.
Lynch Talk. On demand, download the iHeartRadio app.